Welcome to the theory and operation of the General Motors Hybrid Safety. In this course, you'll learn the processes and precautions for powering down the GM Hybrid. My name is Lance Wiggins. It's a great day to fix transmissions, so let's get started. The GMC Yukon and Sierra, Chevrolet Tahoe and Silverado, and Cadillac Escalade two-mode vehicles are gasoline-electric hybrid SUV trucks that use up to 25% less fuel overall and 40% less fuel in the city than the non-hybrid models. These hybrid vehicles use a 300-volt electrical system coupled with a hybrid transmission. The 2ML70 contains two 300-volt three-phase 60 to 65 kilowatt AC motor generator assemblies. The two permanent magnet motors are mounted from each end of the transmission and supported by the shafts, bushings, and a support assembly. 6 high-voltage orange in color wires. These cables are attached to the transmission via the rigid conduit around the transmission, which then transitions to flexible cable to attach the transmission to the drive motor generator control module, or the DMG-CM. Transmission fluid is used for normal transmission operation as well as to cool the drive motors. The vehicles are equipped with a 6.0 liter variable timing engine as well as a 300 volt, 42 volt, and traditional 12 volt electrical system. Special labeling is used to identify two-mode hybrid vehicles. An emblem is located on the lower right corner of the vehicle's liftgate and or on the right and left C-pillars. The 8th digit of the vehicle identification number can also be used to identify the two-mode hybrid vehicle. The 8th VIN digit will be the number 5. This will signify that it is a hybrid vehicle. Both motors are controlled by the motor control module via motor position sensors mounted in the motor assembly. The gear rotor auxiliary fluid pump is mounted to the front of the transmission assembly. The pump is a 12-volt, three-phase AC motor which is directly controlled by the auxiliary fluid pump control module via the hybrid powertrain control module. Provides pressurized fluid for lube, cooling, and clutch operation when the vehicle is being operated in electric or auto stop modes. During the initial movement of the vehicle, the electric motors within the transmission can propel the vehicle to around 25 miles per hour before the engine is restarted. Other conditions that will cause the engine to restart from auto stop mode include additional torque is requested for faster acceleration, hood can be opened or closed, hybrid battery charge is low and requires recharging, gear selector is moved to manual, and climate control system requires engine operation to generate heat. The two-mode applications do not use a conventional starter. Instead, the system relies on the transmission motor generator to crank the engine. A 300-volt, three-phase AC motors. Cranking speeds will exceed 800 RPMs in less than a few hundred milliseconds. The auto stop feature is designed to reduce emissions output, engine wear, and improve fuel economy in the city-type driving conditions. With the engine running, the HPCM may operate the engine in the auto stop mode. Engine off modes of operation will be displayed on the tachometer. If the tachometer indicates auto stop, the engine may restart at any time if the proper parameters are met. Auto stop may activate if the following conditions are present. The engine is running, the ECM is not requesting a diagnostic information, gear selector is not in reverse or manual position, hybrid battery state of charge will exceed 20%, the engine is warm, drive motor generators have not overheated, power inverter module, or the PIM, temperature limits have not been exceeded, no hybrid system faults are present, or the hybrid powertrain control module has determined that engine power is not required. The two-mode system does not require the engine to be operational to propel the vehicle down the road. The hybrid powertrain control module may shut the engine off, which is auto stop, when it determines engine power is not required. If the hybrid powertrain control module determines that additional power is needed, the auto start function will occur and drive motor number one. Number one will be used to start the engine. This may occur even if the vehicle is in motion if it were operated in the electric mode. Auto start may activate without notice if any of the following conditions occur. The hood is open. ECM requests the engine to run. Gear selector is placed in R or manual position. Hybrid battery charge is low. Hybrid battery voltage, temperature, or power limits have been exceeded. Engine coolant is too low. Drive motor generator temperature limits have been exceeded. Power inverter module temperature limits have been exceeded. The hybrid powertrain control module has determined that engine power is required, or the hybrid system fault is present. Service of a two-mode vehicle, transmission, and systems requires specialized training. The two-mode system can cause injury or death if proper service procedures are not followed. Note where the hazard labels are located. The hazard labels identify where potential shock and hazards may occur. Remove all jewelry, belt buckles, watches, and other metal items before servicing these vehicles. If high voltage leads are disconnected, isolate the ends using GM tool number EL Edward Lima 48569 or UL listed isolation tape rated at 600 volts or more. All high voltage terminals require that they be torqued to specification. When the hood is open, the two-mode hybrid badge and a high voltage warning label are found on the power electronics cover. Also, under the second row, rear seat subfloor is a danger high voltage label attached to the hybrid battery case indicating high voltage. The transmission high voltage cables orange or blue, hybrid battery, driver motor generator, control module, power inverter module, advanced power module, and 300 volt air conditioning compressor. These are the locations that you'll be searching for during your diagnostics. The drive motor generator control module operates as follows. Inverts 300 volts DC to AC for vehicle propulsion. Inverts 300 volts AC to DC for hybrid battery recharging. Provides 300 volts to air conditioning compressor. Converts 300 volts DC to 42 volts DC for electric power steering system operation. Converts 300 volts DC to 12 volt DC for conventional 12 volt accessory operation. One quick note here, orange wiring is used to indicate high voltage 300 volt hybrid battery. Blue wiring is used to indicate intermediate voltage, 120 volt AC, accessory power outlets, and 42 volt DC power steering systems. Some systems may also use a 36 volt battery. Prior to doing any service on the vehicle, a battery disconnect or high voltage battery disconnect is going to need to be provided. This is a step-by-step procedure. Remove the ignition key. Remove the rear seat frame, front finish cover, and then remove the cover from the passenger side of the hybrid battery assembly. Remove the high voltage manual disconnect lever. Wait at least 10 minutes for the capacitors in the system to discharge. Note, attach the ignition key to the lever and put the lever and the ignition key in a secure place. This way nobody, grabs it and hangs onto it and decides they're going to plug it back into the vehicle. Disconnect the 12-volt negative battery cable. Remove the rear seat riser finish cover. Remove the terminal extension cover assembly to verify that the voltage has been disabled at the drive motor generator battery assembly terminals. Perform the following. With a functioning approved digital multimeter, check the DC voltage across the high voltage DC positive, which is number 3, and negative, which is number 4, cables. The meter should read less than 3 volts. If the voltage present there is higher, the drive motor generator control module internal capacitors are still charged. Wait another 5 minutes to reset. Another thing you can do here is check the voltage between the high voltage DC positive cable and negative cable, 3s and 4s, to vehicle ground. If the test result is more than 3 volts, once again, there's a stuck closed connector and a loss of isolation within the drive motor generator battery assembly. Finally, check the voltage between the high voltage manual disconnect terminal number 1 to the high voltage DC positive cable number 3 and negative cables number 4. Note, if the test result was more than 3 volts, a high voltage positive connector relay or pre-charge relay is stuck closed. Check for voltage between the high voltage manual disconnect terminal number 2 and the high voltage DC positive cable number 3 and the negative cable number 4. Please note that the test result was more than 3 volts. The high voltage negative connector relay is stuck closed. All readings should be less than 3 volts. If higher voltage is present, refer to the service manual for further diagnostic procedures. Make sure that you're using your personal protective equipment. Class 0 1000 volt electrical protective gloves are required. Do not use gloves which the date code has expired. Always check the gloves for pinholes and general overall condition. Always wear proper eyewear and protection. Make sure that your digital multimeter must meet or exceed the category 3 or 1000 volt specifications. This also includes your leads. Never place both hands across the vehicle components. Touching the wrong exposed terminal or leads may lead to injury or death. Use the one-hand rule. Only use one hand for diagnosis and repair when possible. Keep the other hand behind your back or holding the multimeter. This will conclude our chapter on GM hybrid vehicles. We want to thank you for participating in our virtual training solutions powered by ATRA. Until next time, let's keep fixing transmissions together.